right, all right. Hello, Gracefully Chosen community, and welcome to a new segment of the Foster My Stories podcast, the Achievement Podcast for anyone, inclusive of the heart, which is the foster adoption, orphan, and underserved communities. I'm your host, Shalene Michelle Tate, MBA, and I'm super excited to be here. I'm on a new computer, or really an older computer. I had to switch over my information over to when I say these last 2 to 3 weeks, I had to replace my laptop, my phone, and my car tire. It's been a roller coaster, but you know what? I'm grateful. I'm here. It's a new day. It's going to be okay. All right. And so, and I don't know why my live is like already showing 3 hours. I don't know. It's okay. But I'm here. And today is a combination of really those of August and September. Just combining the two relate to you segments. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you an influential, really TV show or host, and a book and a public figure. So I'm going to just dive into that. I'm trying not to be on here more than 30 minutes because I tend to talk, as y'all know. No worries. But I'm super excited to be here. So let's dive into it right now. Let's get into it. I thank you for taking time out of your schedule. And if you're watching the replay, please share this information with someone you know. And I'm going to just get right on. So give me one moment. All right. And then just stuff is just organizing right now. All right. No worries. Let's just hop on. And as you know, technology, you have to set stuff up and get stuff right, but it's okay. All right. So today is a combination once again of August, September, and just catching you up on stuff, right? And today's a relate to you segment as well, catching you up on, just what's been going on. The podcast has had a hiatus, like what's going on? Okay. And so, I was able to interview Miss Singer, the poet, a couple weeks ago. If you want to catch that content, it is on the Facebook page, and go back and just check her out and what she does and her dynamic testimony, which she shared. But today, I'm going to just basically, it's a catch up to going through back to school of August, and then, of course, continue training and settling into my new position as a part-time college advisor at the University of South Carolina, which is my alma mater. I'm super excited. And just progressing to, it's just surreal to me. Monday is like, we're going to be starting advisement, and I'm going to be starting or assisting in advising with the students. But I'm excited because I have my list of students. I'm taking the time to organize and be prepared. And yeah, I'm going to get that ball rolling. All right. And so today, let's jump right into it. I have a book and or a public figure that I want to share with you. Really, two public figures I want to share with you. But I want to talk about for a moment. I'm going to share my screen as well. So let me get that going. I appreciate your patience as I kind of switch gears here, right? All right. Give me one moment. I hope you're having an awesome day. All right. And no worries. All right. So we're going to jump right into this. And let me share my screen. All right. There we go. Awesome. All right. So let me hop into it. Yeah. So I want to share about Miss Tracy McMillan. She's a TV personality. She's a podcast. She has a podcast, which I'm about to share right now. The only one in the room podcast. Well, she was a guest on that, and so I'm going to basically be reading her segment. And then this content you can find in the description below of this video. Once it's done, you can just catch that information. Everything I'm going to talk about today, you can find in the description, so you can go back and visit the content, get to know the content, and just learn about who these people are and these projects are and how they are dynamic and unique. And once again, this is the Foster My Stories podcast, the achievement podcast for anyone who wants to hear me ramble, right? About my heart, which is to foster adoption, orphan, and underserved communities, which I feel and I am in the process of making really achievement focused storylines for, because all we hear is the negative, the stereotypes, the news, the media, and you can only go but so far. And I want to help change the narrative to those storylines, right? I really do. So let's dive into it. Miss Tracy McMillan, she is on a show. I stumbled on her or stumbled upon her on a show that she had. Basically, it was a show asking either love or family. So basically, it was a show where there's this couple whose family was opposing them to kind of like being together, and basically she's a relationship expert as well. She brought the couple in and then heard from both sides of the family. And basically at the end of that whole 3-day, assessment, kind of got to see if at the end of that they wanted to continue on as a couple or if they value more the opinions of their families. Once again, I know it could be a touchy thing having families and just everybody, your business, and maybe the family is opposing because you don't have enough money, or the family is opposing because you don't come from our background. Whatever the case is, she's the relationship expert on that show whose name I cannot call right now. It's okay. But that's how I stumbled upon her content, and also the fact that she came from the foster care background. So I'm gonna jump right into this. This is the Only One in the Room podcast, and it's hosted by Laura Cathcart Robbins. So she was a guest. And Tracy McMillan was a guest. She is the only one who grew up in foster care while her father was in prison. I'm just going to read through this. Let me see if it'll let me read to it. And this podcast is in the description below, but I'm just going to read this snippet. So it says, what if your white mother couldn't raise you, and your black father, who adored you, was in and out of prison for most of your life, and then leaving you to child services in Minnesota, where you were one of the few mixed race children entrusted to their foster care system. So to the foster care system. Tracy McMillan, best-selling author, screenwriter, relationship thought leader, and influencer, was raised by a foster family with solid Minnesottian values, getting a paper route in the dead of winter and visiting with her biological father whenever she could. But what would you do if after growing up you had a chance to forgive your circumstances, including the mother and father who abandoned you? I know all about that. Like when I say to fellow authors, anybody who wants to write a book, especially a memoir, healing is the best form of you need to go through a healing process, especially if you're talking about subject matters, people, and just things you're related to, because you can't really be of value, right? If you haven't really forgiven those situations and circumstances, you have to forgive. You have to, because if not, that hurt, that pain, that heartache is going to come out in your writings and anything you do, whether it's a business, whether it's being a leader. If you're not healed, if you haven't taken the process of healing and deliverance, and really God helps with this. Some people recommend therapy. I recommend the Source. That's another video. But if you haven't healed in those areas, then you can hurt others. Okay. Yeah. It says, but what would you do if after growing up you had a chance to forgive your circumstances, including your mother and father who abandoned you? Would you put your past feelings aside, deciding to believe that they did the best they could? I now understand that it took me a while to get that. So yeah. Or would you leave your past behind and move forward with the amazing life you built for yourself? And that's what I'm progressing in now. And then more from Tracy McMillan. You could visit her website. So she has a website, www.tracy, that's TracyMcMillan.com, TracyMcMillan.com. where you can find her books. I'm going to share one of her books coming up. She's on Twitter and Instagram at Tracy McMillan. And it says, be sure not to miss our new Now Normal series releasing every Tuesday. So this podcast, I'm promoting it as well. The Only One in the Room podcast, and had Tracy McMillan. And let me see. I'm in force for it. I'm going to see if it lets me play a little bit.
I have to do this in The Only One. Tracy's story is so good.
Oh, and she's such a superstar. You might have seen her. You'll hear this in the intro.
Well, when you get a chance, go there for yourself. You know,
if you've
visit
been
there for yourself.
Overwhelmed with anxiety lately, try listening to a guided meditation on the Meditation for Anxiety podcast.
You know, meditation
as far as the content. Is a proven natural way to help you calm down and dissolve stress.
The Only One in the Room podcast, and you can listen to the segment with Tracy McMillan, who is a guest on that podcast. I'm about to share
by searching
the
for
book,
Meditation for Anxiety
book,
on your favorite podcast player.
She's a multiple author. Let's see.
You know the saying, truth is stranger than fiction? That's definitely not the case on our new fiction podcast conference call that blends the workplace weirdness of The Office with the cadence of a true crime podcast. Be sure to listen and subscribe to...
Time, right? I hope you're having Sarah Foster My Stories podcast. Shout out to the viewer that just joined. So I'm basically covering a public figure, a book, and a movie that relates to the Relate to You segment here on the Foster My Stories podcast. And I just finished talking about Terry McMillan, who is a relationships expert. She's an author. I stumbled upon her on her TV show that kind of like, you know, questions couples if they want to, you know, be together at the end, or if they're going to be influenced by their opposing families. And it's like a 3-day thing. But her testimony is her foster care upbringing as well. And so I am about to cover her book as soon as I can get to it, right? And thank you for your patience. Once again, there's been a long hiatus of where you've been at, Shalina. Let's see. All right, here we go. Share. All right. And so right now on your screen should be one of her books. Let's see if it comes up. Spin, 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 spin. Yeah. There we go. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to get into it. So right now I'm sharing Tracy McMillan's one of her books called I Love You and I'm Leaving You Anyway, a memoir. I'm going to read it, the snippet of it, and then just touching on her father. So I Love You television writer Tracy McMillan managed to work her way into a killer Hollywood career, a privileged world of pool houses, premieres, and big time producer deals, despite being the daughter of a fur coat wearing El Dorado driving smooth talking pimp named Freddie. But success couldn't save her from the pattern of self-destructive choices stemming from her history with her father that would shape all of her relationships, romantic relationships. I Love You and I'm Leaving You Anyway is her comic, tragic, and ultimately victorious story. The riveting tale of how having a father obsessed with women made her a woman obsessed with men. Earlier, I talked about how our past and stuff could trigger other things. For me, foster care triggered the root of rejection, self-consciousness, or just no confidence. And this stuff can be a root to stuff. And she's saying basically she saw how her father did. And in turn, unfortunately, in her life, it played on her just not being able to make the best choices in men. And people don't understand how real that stuff is. It's a spiritual thing. And once again, that's another video. But that stuff is connected. All right. But once again, we're here for the achievement focus, right? Because there's a testimony in all of this, despite that. And I'm leaving you. And it says, blessed with beauty and brains, Tracy had no problem attracting men, marrying her first husband, a kind, stable MBA, before she was out of her teens, she quickly discovered the romantic contradiction that so many women face. That is right. The right kind of men feel wrong, and the wrong ones feel so right. Alternating between the nice guys she knew she should want, compelling, Tracy found herself repeating the hurt that began when the man who loved her the most, her father, left her for prison when she was just 3 years old. Freddie's absence meant a childhood filled with foster homes, a temperamental stepmother, a near constant upheaval. It took 3 marriages, the birth of a son, and most importantly, resolving her relationship with her dad for Tracy to discover the truth about herself, a truth that finally set her free. Man, this is a dynamic book, and I'm not even in page 1, right? Anyway, this provocative, insightful, and humorous memoir isn't a woe is me story of what went wrong. I love you and I'm leaving you anyway is a story of what's gone right. One woman's journey to creating a fulfilling life and raising a son who taught her everything she needed to know about men, love, and of course, herself. Heartwarming, funny, and unflinching, real. It is an inspiring testament to the power of change that proves we can all grow from even our most flawed relationships. Dynamic. Yes, it's called I Love You and I'm Leaving You Anyway. It's a memoir by Tracy McMillan, and it's on Amazon. Feel free to look it up and purchase it. You can get both the Kindle and the paperback for 14, 15 bucks. There's a hardcover copy, is a lot more. But if you're wanting that hardcover copy, that's an investment that I recommend you look into, because once again, this is a testament of just life, real life. This beautiful woman, leader, Tracy McMillan, she's basically talking about her real life. She went through some stuff and she loved her father, but he wasn't in a position to care for her and be the man that she desired for and other men. And once again, root of could trigger you just from our past, our childhood, and our decision making. And it's a real thing. And no, it doesn't mean, oh, you need therapy, you need to be on a couch, you need to be medicated up. Anybody who knows me, I'm a big advocate against all of those things. But that's another video, right? Yeah. It helps for some. Let's say it that way. It helps some. All right. So moving right along, that was Tracy McMillan, and she is really your book and public figure of the day. I'm going to continue on with the movie, relate to you segment of the movie I wanted to highlight today, which is kind of kiddie, but well, really stuff now is not really as kiddie as it should be, but I'm going to get into it just briefly. Is a snippet. All right. So I'm going to share my screen on this one, and thank you for your patience as shift between content. And once again, this is the Foster My Stories podcast, the Achievement Podcast, inclusive of everyone like you who want to hear me progress in my efforts of bringing achievement-focused storylines to the foster, adoption, orphan, and underserved communities that has been shunned by the public, the media, life, and there's no excuses, right? Is really for us to just find achievement regardless. It's a bit by bit, day by day effort. All right, so I am in the process of trying to share my screen content, and thank you for your patience as technology on a different computer takes its toll. No worries. All right, so I'm sharing this next screen, and okay. Yeah, so parents, I would recommend you watch this first and see if you want your kid to watch this, because I mean, I watched it. I really like the graphics. To go towards this route coming up. I've seen bits of it already. I talked to some boots a couple months ago, and how this has that same aesthetic that I really like. And I'm trying to see if it's popping up on your screen as well. Okay, we're gonna get there one day, right? All right. Any day now. Spin, spin, spin. All right. Okay, spin, spin, spin. Come on. All right, there we go. My dad's calling. I'll call you back. Love you, Dad. I will call you back. And that's my biological father. When I say it's on point about forgiveness and just, making amends with those things that were beyond our control. Once again, it was beyond my control that I was in foster care. It was beyond my control that, I didn't have an upbringing that I thought I should have had. Once again, those things are beyond my control, but I'm grateful now to be able to, while I have breath, have, basically make amends and forgive and really embrace, the now and the progression of the now. And I think that's important for all of us to get to. And I know I have not gone through what others have gone through as far as situations and circumstances. Because once again, life is a process and a progress that we are all discovering, right? Okay. And I will talk to him as soon as I get a chance. What's happening right now? Let me see if I could close some of these regrets, go a little bit quicker. And I appreciate your patience as always, because I'm not trying to have you on here 8 hours. All right, so just to give you that snippet, and you may see it on your screen already, the movie I'm trying to talk about is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is a new one, the 2023 Mutant Mayhem. And it's kind of weird, ooze and yeah. I don't know. But that's not what I want to talk about. I'm not talking about how they came to be and how, yeah, it's just weird. But more so related to the foster adoption, orphan, underserved community, for the simple fact that of their storyline. They are, so basically they came about, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came about, and they basically were regular turtles that came about from some toxic ooze that got into the atmosphere, and that's how they became who they became. And then same thing happened to their adoptive father, Master. Oh, no, y'all. My screen is right now, so I'm gonna just talk about it from memory. All right, so okay, so coming up now. I don't know. Maybe. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Finally. All right. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem, the Master Splinter basically adopted them. So he's like their adoptive father. So I just think that that's a pretty cool take on foster adoption, orphan, underserved communities. Well, in a weird way, right? But once again, I'm highlighting this movie because I really used to do the voiceovers or whatever, and I just thought it was really cool as far as the graphics, 2D, 3D, and once again, parents, I caution you just to watch the film first and then see if you want your kids to see it, because I know a lot of times stuff come out, Barbie and all this stuff, and you jump as parents to I mean, I'm not a parent. Just jump and take your kids, and you might need to watch it yourself just to make sure it's appropriate. Okay, so but it's on imdb.com. You can view more on there, and I'm just kind of like going through it. It says the film follows the Turtle brothers as they work to earn the love of New York City while facing down an army of mutants. So it basically does a good job of kind of giving more of their backstory in a updated way, kind of like how they came to be. And of course, I think the cartoons did that, because I remember watching the cartoon when I was younger. old school, right? But this animation remake I thought was a really good job. It was written by Seth Rogen of Family Guy, which I used to watch. He's silly. But it was phenomenal as far as how they,
Okay, Batman.
And of course, the animation was really good. All right, so I just want to highlight that really quick. That Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, despite how they came about, right, their storyline of really being fostered, adopted, orphan, underserved, all ties into that. How a lot of times, we can't pick our upbringings and how we were born into this world. We can't pick how who our parents are. We can't pick how things happen, but we can be the change we want to see. And that's the lesson they discover later on in the movie, and then the rest of the movie, that despite raised and came about, that eventually they were going to be the change they wanted to see. And then that's really what we're all moving towards, right? And that should be cool voice actors. So yeah. All right. So that was just a quick snippet of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and how it kind of sort of relates to the foster adoption, orphan, underserved. And once again, their father is a rat, Master Splinter. And it looks like it's going to be a sequel to that. So that's going to be pretty cool. All right. And then finally, the final thing I want to talk about today is a book I want to kind of highlight for you, with another leader that's doing phenomenal. I want to see if my screen lets me share it real quick for you. Thank you for allowing me to catch it back up with you. I know it's been a minute, but I appreciate your patience. And if you're enjoying this content, please comment and share with others you know. And once again, the rest of this month, I'm gonna just go ahead and say it while this is popping up. The rest of this month, I'm going to be interviewing Miss Susan Kitchens, and with her testimony. And then also I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Travis Brown, and who he is and what he does. I'm excited to share these two dynamic people with you. Let's see. It's okay. Stuff is closing on me. Windows are closing. Let's see, can I open it back up? All right, let's see. Gotten a while back. I had to transfer my stuff over to that. And no worries, we're gonna get it situated. So while that's popping up, today is also Smile Saturday, which is, I've been recording these on TikTok. I've been doing some called the Inspire You segment, where every day, or mostly every day, except for that 2 to 3 week hiatus, I would pose a question of the day. And today is Saturday, Smile Saturday. What are those things that make me smile? And for me, I was reflecting on the fact that even though it's been a good 1,000 degrees outside, and we're about to push into the end of the year, what makes me smile is just really discovering new flavors of ice cream that I've tried. And of course, as always, going to the movies makes me smile. And also being a help to others. Once again, USC is my main job, but I also do something called Uber Eats and Walmart Spark, and just being able to be of assistance to others with their groceries and getting paid for it, of course. Who doesn't like that? But just basically getting comments from just being of assistance. It's always nice to get extra tips. Once again, making somebody else's day and being of assistance. And what are those ways that you find ways to do that and get joy from that? I would love to hear about that. If you comment on it, or if you're watching the video. So what are those things, those other things you're working on that's progressing you towards your purpose? And I think that's really important. If you could find, it's great to have a job and it's great to have side gigs and hustles, but I feel like what brings you more joy and peace is if you could find a way to also pair the things that you're purposed for. And we're all on a purpose of discovery, right? Your God-given purpose. What is your God-given purpose, and how you serve it to the world? And what are those extra things, side things you're doing that pairs with that? So despite the fact that you know, I was in foster care, I'm now understanding I have a voice to do this podcast and write some books. And then my goal moving forward is to help others tell their stories through an e-com shop, which I'm working on. Stuff takes time and processes, and it's okay. An e-com shop, through an achievement focused center that meets people right where they are, youth right where they are, through short film leaders that can help them along the way. And of course I'm rambling, right? I'm trying to reconnect to that page that was in my. It's okay. I appreciate your patience. My computer's doing the most right now, of course. But I appreciate you tuning in today for the Relate to You segment. Let me just do a recap while I'm waiting for this to come up. So today's recap was for the Relate to You segment, which is relative to foster adoption, orphan, underserved, but anyone can listen, right? Today, so far, I covered Miss Tracy McMillan, who basically is a TV personality. She's an author, she's a mother, she's a leader, and her past is basically through her book, talking about how she overcame that. And really,
get a girlfriend. Can you imagine that?
Not like
moving forward so much, but he just wasn't in a position to really be a father focused in the right way. He was in and out of prison, and that in turn was a root of what progressed her in was wrong relationships. And
the recent crime wave led by Superfly.
It's okay. You know what? We're not supposed to have everything together. Even when we get to be 99 years old, I know life and media and news or whatever tells us we have to live for now. Pepsi tells us we have to live for now.
Cool.
But
no, not cool.
breathing
They're cool.
and taking a day at a time is more important, as I discovered, and as hopefully you can discover. It's not about all that other stuff that we put so much strain and stress on. All right, so since my computer is doing the most, I'm going to say that, and watch it's going to come up as.
I can't believe there are other mutants.
You want to roll with us?
As soon as I try to get away from this,
Gonna like us.
I don't know. So I might save that last person for last. It's okay. I will. Because I don't want to hold more of your time up.
Okay,
I
sort of a
appreciate
twist.
you just listening to me ramble thus
We
far.
can't stop him.
We gotta try. 6 in the morning, police at my door.
I'm saying it's okay, but I'm like, I want to get this done.
My son, Michelangelo, you have heart. Donatello,
All right.
you have wisdom.
Let me click off of this.
Raphael, you have
Exit this
bravery.
out. Sometimes we got
And
closed
Lee,
windows, right? Yep.
Leonardo.
Okay. All right. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know how far it got into the, yeah, I'm ending it right here. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. So you may have to fast forward, you know, my stuff just went away, but let me see, can I present something? I'm just like, what in the world? This is so crazy. Okay, I got it back up and running. I'm gonna go ahead and present it, and then I'm just may have to just edit this and then repost it to Facebook and the other streams because this is crazy. All right, but no worries, I'm here. Let's do it. Yeah, I don't know how long my thing went out for you. I don't know what you heard, what you didn't hear. Life, right? Let's do it. All right. So Tori Hope Peterson is the other public figure I wanted to talk about. She also has a book called Fostered. And I just want to read through this. It says, if you're wondering if God can truly move in a life of someone with all the odds stacked against her, look no further than Tori Hope Peterson. So Tori grew up in foster care system, a biracial child, in a confusing and volatile world, kind of like Tracy McMillan. Growing up with a mentally ill mother and living in 12 different foster homes, nothing was in her favor. And yet, even with a minuscule chance of graduating college and a great risk of being homeless, jobless, Tori overcame every negative stereotype and assumption that attacked her identity. Homelessness and joblessness is a real thing, especially when you're being emancipated out, leaving the foster care system. You don't have that support system anymore. So for a lot of youth who are 18 and then 21 for me, because that's as high as you could go, this is a real thing if they don't have the best mentors, a good plan, or anything organized. Homelessness and joblessness is a real thing. And then of course for her being biracial, that was a thing for her, just like Tracy McMillan. All right. However, Tori will tell you she did not overcome. Christ did. Jesus made a way for Tori to find profound hope, deep faith, renewed purpose, and a loving family too. After so many years of being on one side of foster care as a child, Tori is now on the other side of foster care, advocate, adoptive mom, and biological mom. On top of that, she was a track and field All-American, now works in foster care reform, like Miss Cheryl Williams was one of my guests. She was Miss Southwest 2022. This is her area right here that she wants to do, as do we all. But definitely her focus is foster care reform as well. So shout out to Cheryl Williams. But now works in foster care reform, adoption, advocacy, and help for vulnerable populations. Awesome. She basically sound like we are on the same page. If you want to hear the true tale of an unlikely overcomer, this book is for you. If you want to learn more about the foster care system from a foster youth perspective, this book is for you. If you want to better dwell in the reality of your own spiritual adoption or our Heavenly Father and better understand the orphan and the widow that He loves dearly, this book is for you. And yes, and yes to that. That's a testimony in itself. And that's why I always credit the fact that God has a purpose. Ultimately, if you want to remember who God is and what He can do through the most unlikely people, Fostered is for you. Yes. That's what Fostered My Stories is about. This is what this book Fostered is about for her. That's what my foster book was partially about. And that's what foster care, what we're trying to change and reform, is about. Basically, people going through these situations like myself, like Tori, like Tracy McMillan, but we don't have to stay there. And that's the testimony. And that's the reality of what it is. We don't have to stay there. There's hope. And then for us, divine hope is what we're finding, that we have a purpose in what we've came from. And if you'd like to hear more about this dynamic testimony for Tori Hope Peterson, her information along with the Mutants, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutants movie link, along with Tracy McMillan website and book, is in the description of this video. Thank you so much for your time today, your patience as this stream kind of like went in and out. I'm gonna have to edit, or if you could fast forward, and I'm gonna put it in the stream to do so. All right. Well, you have a dynamic rest of your day. This has been Foster My Stories podcast, the Achievement Focused podcast. Today was Relate to You, talking about Tracy McMillan, talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem movie, and talking about Tori Hope Peterson and how all of that, despite upbringing and background and how you came about, has a divine greater purpose. All right. I'm your host, Shalene Michelle Tate, MBA. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Thank you for hearing me ramble, and thank you for your patience with technology, as it's not stable at all. But I'm here. You have a dynamic rest of your day. Take care. Oh, also, being fostered, adopted, orphaned, and underserved always means to me that you are what I like to call gracefully chosen. You have purpose. Take care.